I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Forum Daily West. Here are some of the top stories we've been following. Federal Liberals elect Mark Carney to lead their party into the next election. Plus, an Ontario court dismisses a Freedom Convoy appeal in a multi-million-dollar nuisance lawsuit. And hundreds dressed in red and white descend on Parliament Hill to voice frustration with Donald Trump and his tariffs. Thanks so much for joining us. Federal Liberals elected Mark Carney to lead their party into the next election. His first ballot victory on Sunday makes him Justin Trudeau's successor and puts him on track to become Canada's next prime minister. Carney won with 85.9% of the vote. Former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland came in a distant second. Karina Gold came in third, and Frank Bialis came in last.
2 months ago, I put up my hand to run for leader because I felt we needed big changes. Change that puts more money in people's pockets. Change that makes our companies more competitive. Change that builds the strongest economy in the G7. There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living.
Carney wasn't the only one who fired shots at U.S. President Donald Trump, but in his farewell speech, outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called the trade war between Canada and the U.S. an existential challenge.
These past 10 years have been challenging. Crisis after crisis has been thrown at Canadians. But through every crisis, Canadians have shown who they are. We've pulled together. We've stood up for each other, and every single time we've emerged even stronger. And now, as Canadians face from our neighbor an existential challenge, an economic crisis, Canadians are showing exactly what we are made of. Elbows up!
Now the focus turns to the transition plans, as Carney will need to be sworn in as Prime Minister. The exact timeline is unclear. Hundreds of people dressed in red and white descended on Parliament Hill to voice their frustration with President Donald Trump's on-again, off-again tariff threats and his comments to annex Canada. The Elbows Up Canada rally brought Canadians together, waving our country's flag, singing "O Canada," and even enjoying some stand-up comedy.
And when you're a young lad growing up in Canada, you know, back in the 80s and 90s, we had an older brother, didn't we? And it was named the United States of America. And he was our older brother, and we looked up to him back in the day. We did. He was a bit bigger and older and stronger, and he got invited to all the parties. He had way more money than us. But then back in November, our older brother got into a horrific motorcycle accident. Didn't he? And he's got massive head trauma. It's not the older brother that we used to know. Like, he's a different kind of older brother now.
And I've never felt prouder to be a Canadian than in this moment. What we've seen over the last couple of weeks is a real demonstration of Canadian pride, people pulling together, people shopping locally and buying Canadian, people wearing the maple leaf, putting flags out in the front of their homes. And I think it's a great moment for our country.
And speaking of rallies in Ottawa, the Ontario Court of Appeals has dismissed an appeal of Chris Barber, Tamara Leach, hundreds of protesters and donors in a $290 million class action lawsuit against the Freedom Convoy. The defendants asked the court to overturn the dismissal of an anti-SLAPP motion, which stands for Strategic Law Against Public Participation. The class action suit will continue to proceed. In 2022, thousands of Canadians from all parts of Canada drove to Ottawa to protest federal COVID vaccine mandates and lockdowns. In June of 2023, lawyers from the Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms launched the anti-SLAPP motion, but in February of 2024, Justice Caleb MacLeod dismissed the motion at the Superior Court of Ontario. American tariffs on Canadian dairy and lumber may not arrive until next month, according to interviews U.S. President Donald Trump and his top commerce official gave to media outlets over the weekend. Trump threatened Friday to hit Canadian lumber and dairy with reciprocal tariffs within days. A gondola cabin came crashing to the ground at around 9:20 this morning at Kicking Horse Mountain Resort, leaving passengers trapped. The resort, located in Golden, British Columbia, closed for the rest of the day and has not confirmed how many passengers were inside or whether anyone was injured. According to the resort's website, a fully loaded gondola cabin holds 8 people. The Alberta government announced today they will transfer emergency health services from Alberta Health Services to Acute Care Alberta. Health Minister Adriana LaGrange says the move will allow the province to invest further in EMS, improve care and focus, and strengthen that component of the healthcare system.
So later this spring, emergency health services will come under the purview of Acute Care Alberta. And as we all know, EMS, or emergency medical services, are the backbone of our healthcare system. Whether it's responding to an accident or a medical emergency in our homes, paramedics are often the first line of care and treatment. So these changes will allow emergency health services to focus on improving efficiency, patient safety, and response times in all parts of the province.
This change is part of the province's plan to refocus healthcare by splitting Alberta's healthcare system into 4 separate agencies. Recovery Alberta and Primary Care Alberta are each fully operational. Acute Care Alberta is set to be operational by April the 1st. Economic Development Lethbridge says it will receive over $400,000 from Prairies Economic Development Canada to invest towards developing the local supply chain. EDL is just one beneficiary from Prairies Can's larger announcement of $1.8 million of funding towards various projects to enhance Alberta's agriculture sector to new markets and advanced and innovative technologies. Trevor Lewington of EDL says this funding will help develop the supply chain and logistics sector along the Highway 4 region, and the municipal partners in the area will match that amount to bring it to over $800,000.
So over the next 3 years, we're going to be very focused on developing the logistics, transportation, and warehousing sector, which of course is critical to the success of all industries and all sectors across the Lethbridge region. Yes, the United States will continue to be our closest and largest market. It will still be a focus. However, if we develop a more robust environment for, again, logistics, warehousing, transportation, that helps all industries. And in fact, now it's arguably more important than ever as we look to expand other markets. We need all of that infrastructure. We need those businesses to be able to get our goods to market.
Lewington adds that the COVID-19 pandemic underscored how vulnerable supply chains are in our region and welcomes any opportunity to further expand robust infrastructure to ship products through. Well, fire crews in Lethbridge say they responded to a residential fire just after midnight on Sunday. Crews from 4 stations responded to the property at 44 Trent Road West under heavy fire conditions, which took them 3 hours to fully extinguish. The damage is estimated at around $390,000, but no injuries were reported. Lethbridge Fire and Emergency Services wants to remind residents to use working smoke alarms and ensure you have a home escape plan. Well, every day, 11 Canadians are diagnosed with multiple myeloma, a little known and so far incurable blood cancer. Sadly, this number is increasing. Myeloma is the second most common form of blood cancer. In honor of Myeloma Awareness Month, which began today, the city held a flag-raising ceremony outside City Hall. Brian Treadwell is the Lethbridge Myeloma Support Group leader and also battles multiple myeloma.
It's where the good blood cells are crowded out by the bad blood cells. It gets into our bones and we become very sick. They should go to their family physician for anything they feel is off. A bone pain, maybe they feel tired all the time, maybe they have kidney problems. It is quite treatable. You get a chance to be into drugs, or you might have a stem cell transplant. We are lucky in Alberta, probably the best province in Canada, because there's lots of drug trials going on right now, especially up in Calgary, that is looking to win the battle against multiple myeloma. There's hope, and that's the best thing that we can offer people with multiple myeloma is hope.
Hear more about Treadwell's journey of battling myeloma in an interview with BCN's Naveen coming up later on in our program. You can also find more up-to-date information by visiting myeloma.ca. When we return, we'll have more of the top stories from the West with Forum Daily West. The City of Lethbridge will be hosting its first ever summer job fair, aligning with recent job openings offered to the community. Since 10 a.m. this Tuesday at the Cavendish Farms Center, departments hiring include the city's water and wastewater operations, transportation operations, and parks and cemetery operations teams. Gabby Williams, organizational effectiveness manager, says the city will offer between 80 to 100 positions. Williams outlines the requirements to apply.
You do need your grade 12, and so that is one of the job requirements, and you also need a driver's abstract, 5 years, 5 demerits or less. And so if you do have those requirements, we welcome you to come. This is a great foot in the door kind of position or positions. You can come on. The city hires from A to Z in terms of jobs, right? So when you think of what a municipality offers for the community, there's just so many services that are there. And so you can come on if you have an interest in a different area. So there's transit, or you have an interest in engineering or billing or whatever it might be. This is a great foot in the door. You come in, you can move around.
We like to put ourselves out there, community engagement, maybe have some people come by, see this as a potential career for them in the future. So it benefits people who may see this as a career down the road, and it benefits the fire department because many people don't know what we do, and there's a way for us to talk to people and say, this is what the fire department can do, what do you want from your fire department and ambulance, and so we get feedback as well. Well, first we're looking to make sure they're qualified, so primary care paramedic, advanced care paramedic. If you're interested in fire, that's a huge benefit, but we don't need that certificate right now. People who are big into teamwork, just looking to help people.
In addition to the in-person process, you can also apply via online at lethbridge.ca/careers. Well, on Friday, BCN reported that a notable protester at the Coutts border blockade was sentenced at the Lethbridge courthouse. Alex Van Herk, who was convicted of mischief for his role in the Coutts border blockade, was given a 90-day conditional sentence to be served in the community. Van Herk will be required to perform 100 hours of community service and be on 12 months of probation. He will be required to look into serving the towns of Milk River and Coutts to fulfill fulfill his community service hours and will not be permitted to interact with fellow co-accused Marco Van Hugenbos or George Jansen during that 90-day period. Justice Keith Yamauchi says Van Herk is well on the way to rehabilitation and he's recognized the wrong he has committed. Van Herk issued a statement of apology to the court and community on his role at the blockade, but also says he does not regret standing up for what he believes is right.
It's sad that people had to use these kind of means to be heard for the government overreach that was happening, and it's sad that people had to go to Ottawa and to Coutts to be heard, right? So I regret, I think not regret, but I know in the future people better get involved in their political life, and because we need to make change in our political leaders, and the only way we're going to get change is if people stand up against them.
Well, the town of Coaldale recently announced the reopening of its rain barrel rebate program. It provides residents with a 50% rebate on the purchase of a rain barrel up to a maximum of $50 per barrel. Coaldale Mayor Jack Van Ryan says the rebate program helps residents be more responsible with water management amid drought-like conditions like what southern Alberta experienced last year. The program allows a limit of 1 barrel per residence, and only rain barrels purchased after January 1st are eligible for the rebate. The program will remain open until October the 1st or until a designated fund of $15,000 has been depleted. Coaldale residents with a proof of purchase can apply for the rebate online by visiting the Town of Coaldale's website or in person at the town office. Rebates will be issued as a credit on residential utility bills. In sports, Alberta's Brad Jacobs beat Manitoba's Matt Dunstan 5-3 to win the Montana's Brier. Jacobs made a game-winning pick for 3 points to win the Canadian Men's Curling Championship for the first time since 2013.
All the credit goes to my guys. I couldn't be more proud of them. I play for them, and it was so great to share in that celebration with my guys and see how thrilled they were to get this win today.
And a big congratulations to Jacobs and his team there.